Struggle with making spaghetti squash tasty? Watch this video to learn my foolproof method. Hey meal preppers, Allison, Prep Dish founder here to help you have a happier, healthier mealtime. For the best meal planning tips and to be notified every Tuesday when I post a new video, hit the bell to subscribe. Today I'm sharing with you my top secrets on how to make a spaghetti squash. I promise that my method for how to cook spaghetti squash noodles is both easy and always a favorite among the thousands of Prep Dish subscribers that are receiving my meal plans every week. Step 1 is how to select a spaghetti squash. When selecting a spaghetti squash, you're going to want to check for the following 4 things. The first is weight. It should feel heavy for its size. The second is to inspect the stem. It should be intact, firm, and dry. The third is color. You're going to want to look for a rich yellow color and avoid any green spots. The color should be dull. If it's too bright and shiny, that might mean that it was picked too early. And the fourth is blemishes. You're going to want to avoid any cracks, cuts, and soft spots. Also keep in mind that these squash can vary greatly in size. This just means that if you have a larger squash, it may require more time in the oven, or if you have a very small size spaghetti squash, it may not require as much cooking time. So step number 2 is cooking the spaghetti squash. And don't worry, I didn't skip cutting. That actually comes later. So my preferred method is to cook spaghetti squash whole in the oven. Here's how I bake spaghetti squash in the oven. I preheat oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Place the entire spaghetti squash into a baking pan. Pierce the squash a few times with a knife or fork. Place the entire squash into the oven and allow it to bake for an hour and 15 minutes. Again, this varies depending on the size of the squash. This baked whole spaghetti squash oven method is my go-to method. But because I know you'll ask, here is the process for using other methods. How to cook spaghetti squash in a crock pot. Add your squash plus 2 cups of water to the crock pot. Cook on low for 4 to 6 hours. How to cook spaghetti squash in an Instant Pot. Add the squash plus 2 cups of water to the Instant Pot and cook on the high setting for 15 minutes. How to cook spaghetti squash in a microwave. Add spaghetti squash and an inch of water and microwave for 12 to 15 minutes. Again, all of these times may need to be adjusted slightly to account for the size of your spaghetti squash. Step 3 is cutting. Now that I've shown you how to cook the spaghetti squash, I can show you how to cut spaghetti squash. Very important, you need to allow your squash to cool. Because the squash is cooked, a knife will easily slide through the squash. Because I'm making spaghetti squash boats, I want to make sure and cut the squash in half lengthwise. After cutting the squash, remove any seeds, either save for roasting or discard, or I save to feed to my chickens. Now that I've shown you my 3-step method for preparing spaghetti squash, selecting, cooking, and then cutting, it's time for the fun part, a recipe. This recipe for spaghetti squash boats is both easy and fun. I'm going to show you how to make the filling for my smoky spaghetti squash boats with Bison. In a large skillet, heat 1 tablespoon olive oil over medium heat. Add 1 chopped poblano and onion, saute until softened, about 2 minutes. Then you're going to add 1 pound ground bison, 2 teaspoons smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon cumin powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon oregano, and then salt to taste. Cook for approximately 10 minutes or until bison is cooked through. Drain a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes and then add to the skillet. Cook until warmed and any liquid begins to thicken. Then you're going to stuff each squash evenly with the bison mixture. Top each squash evenly with grated ½ ounce of cotija cheese, which is optional, and 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro. Now you know my method for how to bake a whole spaghetti squash for super easy cutting and my recipe for smoky spaghetti squash boats with Bison. For more easy, healthy recipes like this, sign up for a free trial of my Prep Ahead meal plans. These done-for-you meal plans include an organized grocery list with tasty recipes just like this one. I have a link for that trial below. What is your favorite way to prepare spaghetti squash? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to sign up for my time-saving meal plans. If this video was helpful, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and hit that like button so I know to make more videos like this. See you in the next one.